The rise and fall of the Byzantine Empire. For over 1,000 years, one empire stood as the heir to Rome. A bastion of Christianity, wealth, and power at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. The Byzantine Empire, centered in its shining capital of Constantinople, was a fortress against invasion, a beacon of culture, and a hub of trade. But like every great empire before it, its story is one of dazzling heights and dramatic collapse. This is the rise and fall of the Byzantine Empire. When the Western Roman Empire crumbled in the 5th century, many believed Rome's glory had ended forever. But in the East, Rome lived on. Centuries earlier, in the year 330, Emperor Constantine the Great had moved the capital of the empire to a city called Byzantium. He renamed it Constantinople, and it sat in a position like no other, on the Bosporus Strait, where Europe met Asia, and where land routes and sea routes converged. Protected by its legendary triple walls and surrounded by water on 3 sides, Constantinople became nearly impossible to conquer. While Rome in the west fell to barbarian invasions, the Eastern Roman Empire endured. Over time, it became known as the Byzantine Empire, though its people always considered themselves Romans. They carried forward Roman law, Greek culture, and Christian faith. For centuries, Constantinople would be the wealthiest city in Europe, a dazzling blend of East and West. The empire reached its first great height in the 6th century, under Emperor Justinian. Determined to restore Rome's former glory, Justinian launched ambitious campaigns to reconquer lands lost to Germanic tribes. His armies under the general Belisarius pushed Byzantine control deep into Italy, North Africa, and parts of Spain. For a moment, it seemed as if Rome might truly rise again. But Justinian's achievements went beyond war. He oversaw the creation of the Justinian Code, a vast collection of Roman laws and commentaries that would influence European legal systems for centuries. He also left behind monuments of breathtaking beauty. Chief among them was the Hagia Sophia, a church so magnificent that visitors were awestruck. Its massive dome, glittering mosaics, and soaring columns made it one of the wonders of the medieval world. And at Justinian's side stood a woman unlike any before her, Empress Theodora. Once an actress, she rose to become one of the most powerful women in history. She advised Justinian on matters of state, pushed reforms that expanded women's rights, and stood unflinching during the Nika riots, a violent uprising that nearly toppled the throne. Her resolve saved the empire. Together, Justinian and Theodora embodied Byzantium at its most ambitious, its most radiant. Yet the empire's fortunes were always fragile. New enemies rose constantly. In the 7th century, Arab armies swept out of the Arabian Peninsula, bringing Islam with them. They struck deep into Byzantine lands, seizing Syria, Egypt, and North Africa. Constantinople itself came under siege, but its massive walls and a terrifying weapon called Greek fire, a flaming liquid that could burn even on water, held the attackers at bay. Byzantium shrank, but it survived. In the centuries that followed, the empire adapted. It reorganized its military, developed a system of provincial themes, and became a vital buffer between Europe and the Islamic world. Byzantine missionaries carried Christianity north into the Slavic lands, planting seeds that would grow into Orthodox traditions in Russia, Bulgaria, and Serbia. Constantinople became the beating heart of Eastern Christianity, while Rome and Western Europe followed the Catholic faith. For a time, Byzantium flourished again. Under the Macedonian dynasty in the 9th and 10th centuries, the empire regained strength. Its armies pushed outward, its scholars preserved classical knowledge, and its artists filled churches with golden mosaics that shimmered like heaven itself. Constantinople's markets overflowed with silks, spices, and treasures from across the known world. To visitors, it seemed like paradise on earth. But power breeds rivals. In 1054, a great schism split Christianity into two: Catholicism in the west, Orthodoxy in the east. The two halves of Christendom would often find themselves more at odds than united. And then came the Crusades. What began as Western Europe's holy war to recapture Jerusalem soon entangled Byzantium in disastrous ways. At first, the Crusaders marched through Byzantine lands as uneasy allies. But in the year 1204, during the Fourth Crusade, those same Crusaders turned their swords against Constantinople itself. They stormed the city, looted its treasures, and carved up its empire. The Hagia Sophia was desecrated. Priceless relics were stolen. For Byzantines, it was a betrayal so deep it would never be forgotten. The empire limped on, restored in part in 1261, but it never fully recovered. Its lands shrank, its treasury emptied, and its enemies closed in. To the east, a new power was rising, the Ottoman Turks. By the 15th century, the Byzantine Empire was reduced to little more than Constantinople and a few scattered territories. Still, the city held out. Behind its ancient walls, people believed it might endure forever. But in 1453, the Ottomans under Sultan Mehmed II brought cannons so massive they shattered fortifications thought to be indestructible. For 53 days, the city resisted. Priests and soldiers fought side by side, while citizens prayed for a miracle. On May 29th, the walls were finally breached. Ottoman troops poured in. Emperor Constantine XI, the last of the Byzantine emperors, is said to have cast aside his crown and sword in hand, perished in the defense of his city. Constantinople was renamed Istanbul and became the capital of the Ottoman Empire. The Byzantine Empire was no more, yet its legacy lived on. The Byzantines preserved Greek and Roman knowledge through the dark centuries of Europe's Middle Ages. Their missionaries spread Orthodox Christianity across Eastern Europe. Their art, architecture, and law shaped civilizations for centuries. And their capital, Constantinople, remained one of the world's most important cities long after the empire that founded it was gone. The Byzantine Empire endured for over 1,000 years, longer than any empire of Rome itself. Its rise was brilliant, its golden ages dazzling, and its fall one of history's most dramatic. This was the rise and fall of the Byzantine Empire.